Hey YouTube, how's it going? Torsar here with another sports talk video. And man, let me tell you, there's a lot I'd like to talk about today. But first, hopefully you guys, one, enjoy this video. Two, if you do, consider subscribing. I still need that help. Still pushing for 1,000. But to put it in perspective, I thought I was so much farther away than I am in my watch hours, but despite the low number of subscriptions, I'm still farther along percentage-wise than I am in my watch hours. So I'm not too concerned with it. The main goal is to get the views up, keep making good content. That's why the number one priority, please enjoy the videos and only subscribe if you think I've earned it. Now, there's a lot I'd like to talk about today in the NBA. A lot of things going on. The firing of Monty Williams. The Boston Celtics and how up and down of a superstar Jason Tatum is. The Lakers and LeBron beating Steph and the Warriors. And what are the Warriors going to do this offseason? The Sixers, what are they going to do this offseason? A lot of good storylines in the NBA. And maybe I'll make some further videos. I was thinking about, because the Monty Williams, Jason Tatum, how perplexing he is. And the one I'm going to talk about, I could have made them all in one day. But I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll spread them out. I know they start to lose relevancy, so I got to get on it pretty soon. But the one I have to talk about, my favorite content machine. Yes, that's right. The team that just keeps bringing the heat, literally and figuratively, the Memphis Grizzlies. And just like I said, the problem is still there. You can scapegoat Dylan Brooks all you want, but your main headache, your main problem is still there, and that is one Morant. Now, first of all, if you haven't seen it, if you know who Kwame Brown is, former NBA player, considered, I don't think he's as big of a bust as people thought he was. He still had a decent NBA career. Now he streams a lot, makes some content. If you haven't seen what he has to say about this latest incident, go watch it, because he says all the things that I can't say as a white dude. Some of the things that I would love to say, and I completely agree with everything he had to say. But if you haven't seen it, go seek it out. I'm sure you can find it on Twitter. It's about a 5-minute long video. Go watch it. It's hilarious. It's right on point. Now, what I can say, some of the stuff that he talked about, is who is in this man's life? The one thing, I don't feel bad for him whatsoever, because he had more of an affluent upbringing than I did. People I hate to even get into the race thing. I hate it so much. I've really never been a part of it my whole life. You can look at skin color all you want. I grew up in an area where there's all different, it's a melting pot of people. You never even think about that kind of stuff until it's brought up. So anyway, but sometimes you just have to. But I was raised lower middle class to maybe at points, maybe middle of the middle class. And by all accounts, this guy never even had to go down that low. He was talking about how when he was younger, his dad didn't even make 150 grand. Like, well, what did he make? 100 grand? Like, that's still pretty good. And about how, well, they couldn't go to Europe for family vacations. They had to settle for Miami. Miami? We were lucky to go to the beach a couple days during the summer. Maybe a weekend camping trip once every couple of years. My dad took off, he didn't even smoke cigarettes, so I can't, sorry to hit the mic. I can't even use the went out for a pack of smokes meme. He just took off, and I didn't see from him or hear from him for 8 years. So I didn't even have my dad in my life. I'm not trying to cry about it, but just to show you how lucky this guy is. And the thing that's the craziest to me is you can understand a rich guy like that, like not surrounding himself with good friends, right? Because obviously these guys aren't his friends. Because this latest one wasn't even him; it was one of his friends shooting the video, and you're a hanger-on and depending upon him, like bringing home this pay so you can be a hanger-on, and now you're gonna ruin it for him or help him ruin it, and so really. After the latest apology and he's going to therapy. Therapy for what? Are you addicted to drugs? Do you have a gambling problem? Do you have an alcohol problem? Are you an abuser? What are you going to therapy for? It was all lip service. Actions speak louder than words. And I know you'll say, well, going to therapy is an action. No, it was an action so you could use words like John Morant is going to therapy. It was all just damage control. And anyone who believed that this was going to be the end of it, well, I got a couple. I don't just got a bridge in Brooklyn. I got one in San Fran too. That you might want to take a look at both of them because they're both up for sale. I knew this wasn't going to be the end of it. You know, you can go back, watch the Dylan Brooks video. Heck, I even put it in the title, but the larger problem still remains. I knew that wasn't the end of it. I knew I was going to get. I didn't think it would happen so soon, which is mind-boggling. And just the incident after incident, this should have been stopped a long time ago. And the most amazing thing to me, it's not just that it's his friends or lack of real friends. It's that, one, where is your father in all this? Because, I mean, yes, I understand it's probably this situation where, you know, you're making so much money now that you're pretty much like the man in charge of your family. But by all accounts, it's not like his parents were some like, you know, low life, poor people that he brought up out of the gutter and bought him a house and all this stuff. They were already doing well on their own. And I know if that was me, I would never let my son do foolish stuff like this. Now, I don't know what their relationship is, so I don't want to get too into that and make it too personal, okay? I'm sure his father's a good person, and who knows, maybe he's tried and Ja just doesn't listen, okay? So that's what I'm going to assume. But what I do know is the mother has taken a part in two of these incidents. All right, the Foot Locker incident where he was like banging on the door, had that kid trapped in the freaking in the storage office in the back of the Foot Locker, banging on the door, telling him to come out. He's gonna beat his you know what. His mom called him that time because this Foot Locker employee is giving her a hard time. Hey, Ja, come handle this. Mom, what are you doing? And then the volleyball incident at her sister's volleyball game. Something was going on, didn't like the way she's being talked to. Hey, Ja, come handle this. What are you doing, Mom? And then, you have the incident after the Pacers game. You have the incident at his house when they were playing pickup basketball and he beat up that 17-year-old kid, which, by the way, most people get arrested for this. Even if it's on your own property. Last time I checked, like anywhere you're from, unless you're super rich, you beat up a 17-year-old kid, you get in trouble for that. And then, supposedly, he pulled a gun on him and tell him he's going to freaking do something with it. And yet, still, no one put a stop to this. And he had a chance to whip out that gun in a nightclub. And now the NBA went easy on him, right? Well, guess what? Now they're going to have to go hard because the other owners aren't going to like this because you're now affecting the way they can market their team and their players and their superstars. And his new deal hasn't even kicked in yet. Now, I'm sure all the money's guaranteed, and I don't know if there's any clauses or anything that, he could have some of that money taken away or just nullify the contract. I'm pretty sure you would have to do something even worse than he's already done. But I do know he's putting at risk his Powerade endorsement and his Nike endorsement. So you're going to go from the Powerade and the Nike deal to the Gilbert Arenas deal, where you're going to miss most of next year, potentially. I'm thinking the NBA is going to have to come down hard, and he's going to miss at least multiple months of the season. Like 40, at least half the year, if not like a 50-game suspension. This is not going to be light. And if it is, no one better come crying when something even more severe happens. That's all I hope, is that these just continue to be this knucklehead stuff where, no one's actually getting hurt. Maybe someone just roughed up a little bit. Because, when you're pulling guns out and when you're trying to do that thing, and you're not even hood to begin with. That's why I'm not going to get into that too much. I don't know too much about it. That's why I said go watch the Kwame Brown stuff. He says it perfectly. But, guy, come on, man. Of course. And all the people defending him. Why? Well, he has the right to own a gun. Yeah, he does. But guess what? He's employed by the NBA. They have NBA bylaws. You can't have a gun anywhere on any team activity, team plane, team bus, locker room, arena, practice facility, anywhere. And heck, some of you think, oh, it's a free country, you could do what you want. Go get in trouble and then see how your employer handles that when your name ends up in the newspaper. I've seen people fired from grocery stores because they got in fist fights. And I remember it happened to one girl I used to work with at a grocery store. She was a part-time employee at a grocery store. She got into a fist fight with her mom. Her and her mom beat up another chick. It was in the paper, and the grocery store fired her. This is what happens. To the fact that this has kept happening and people have just let it go and oh, Ja, don't be so hard on him. That's what he needs, someone to be hard on him. What he needs to do is go watch that Kwame Brown video and soak in every word that man has to say and let it actually sink in, because the way he puts all of his stuff, that's exactly the way John Morant needs to be talked to. And he needs to have a friend in his corner, and a real friend who will smack that gun right out of his hand, get into a fight with him and say, man, what the hell are you doing? I don't care if we never talk again, but I ain't going to see you go down this road. That's what he needs in his life. And if his dad ain't going to do it, and his mom, we already know she ain't going to do it because she's been the instigator in some of these situations, then he needs someone in his corner. I don't know, his agent, someone, one of his teammates. Like, what are you doing, guy? Now, me personally, this is great because I get something relevant, super relevant to talk about that hopefully gets a ton of views. So, but I honestly would rather just not have to talk about this anymore. Because again, like I said with Dylan Brooks, I don't have anything against John Morant. He had a really promising career. He was amazing in college. Me and one of my buddies could have went when he played, I forget the other player that was also a showcase, but they played at one point, they had a satellite for the tournament, for the NCAA tournament in Hartford, and we could have went and seen him, and we didn't. And we were kicking ourselves for years after that. Like, damn, we could have seen John Morant live. Like, what the heck? We were actually upset. And then you could just tell this wasn't going to be the end of it just by the way he was talking about it. He obviously wasn't sincere in his apology or going on with that Jalen Rose interview where Jalen's just lobbing him softballs. Oh, here, Jai. It was just pretty much like an extended apology. Who believed any of that? Come on, man. It was obviously all just a farce. It was all damage control. And this is not what we need from people who are in positions. He's like blaming the media, blaming the fans. oh, this pedestal that you all are putting myself on. You're doing it to yourself. No one asked you to do any of these situations. And each one in and of itself is just kind of like clownish. But, like, besides maybe that one kid who got beat up, no one's really been hurt. But his pockets are going to be hurt, that's for sure. Some of this stuff, it's a controversial subject. Some of it, obviously, you have to dive a little bit into the racial aspects going on in this country, certain communities that have unfair lights cast on them. But I know one thing: he isn't doing his own community any service right now, and it's a shame. One of the people I obviously wanted to hear from the most today was Shannon Sharp, and it's unfortunate that someone like him or Stephen A. Smith can tell it like it is, and then they get called like a Uncle Tom or a Uncle Ruckus or whatever derogatory things people in their own community call him. Man, those people, they're not helping Ja Morant at all. No one in his corner is helping Ja Morant at all. So that's the one part where I was getting into at the beginning. The only part that I feel bad for him whatsoever is that he just doesn't really seem to have anyone real on his side. We all need someone like that in our lives. If you do have someone like that, show him some appreciation. I definitely have people like that in my life. So, from friends to family members, very lucky. Received big time help, especially over tough times over the last few years. So even anyone who's given me an encouraging words, some people that might watch this video, you know who you are. Thank you. Wrap this up with my usual. Guys, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace.